Hey, it's David for Road Bike Action, and this is the Bianchi Specialissima. It's got the classic Bianchi Celeste hue and all the goods to go along with it. When it comes to road bikes, there is no other bicycle brand that consistently attracts attention like a Bianchi. Being the oldest bicycle brand has a lot to do with it, but the iconic Celeste color and striking lines that seem to be present on all their bikes is an absolute head-turner. Rolling around town on their pinnacle model, the Specialissima, there was what seemed to be non-stop reassurance that we had something special. There's been a lot of updates to the Specialissima over the years, but the most noticeable difference is what you don't see. Cables. Beyond the wireless SRAM axis drivetrain, the frame uses the FSA ARC system that hides all the brake hoses and shift wires and cables if we had them, internally from the bar all the way into the oversized 1.5-inch head tube. This allows the focus to stay fixated on the shapely, aero-refined carbon frame. Our size 55 has a 14-centimeter head tube, but when you include the mandatory FSA ARC top cap, it's bumped up to 15 centimeters. The overall geometry is race-oriented, but has a good balance and doesn't leave you holding the bars tight, hoping you make it like most Italian race bikes. Instead, the 98.8 centimeter wheelbase and 72.5 degree head tube are confidence-inspiring. The frame leaves room for 32 millimeter tires with short 41 centimeter chainstays. For us, another plus is the use of a press-fit 86 millimeter bottom bracket instead of the more problematic 30 millimeter option. The fork also runs the brake hose internally until it exits just above the mount. Bianchi claims a frame weight of only 750 grams, but that is likely without the Celeste paint and mermaid scale graphic, which are completely worth whatever weight it might add. Looking at our build is where we got a bit confused. Sure, it's spec with SRAM's top tier components, but we weren't sure how it adds up to $12,250. To start, there is no power meter, and any proper race bike over $8,000 should ship stock with one in 2021. We know that product availability has been tough, but from what we can tell, it wasn't even considered. Next was gear selection, and that left us confused, with the 4633 crankset matched to a 1028 12-speed cluster. In our opinion, a bike of this caliber should be fitted with a 4835 and either a 1028 cassette for speedsters or a 1033 cassette for a more climbing oriented setup, which would offer a much easier ratio. The last head scratcher, and in our opinion the biggest miss, is the Vision SC40 disc wheel set. We like that they are tubeless ready, have a hook bead, and are fairly modern with a 19 millimeter internal rim width, but the confusing part is that they're an entry-level carbon wheel set that weigh in at nearly 1,600 grams and are just 40 millimeters deep. The retail price for the set is only $1,000, and for a bike that is over $12,000, this is a huge letdown. Things do get better as they have chosen the Vittoria Corsa Graphene 2.0 tires, size 25, that measure about 28 millimeters on the wheels. On the road, the Specialissima is a tame Italian race bike. This, in our opinion, is a good thing, and is an example of experience and evolution as a brand. The handling is tight and responsive, but the bike doesn't feel like it's cornering on a razor's edge. Instead, it easily dives into corners with a stable feel, allowing you to lean more when needed. The frame is stiff and responsive as you would expect from a top-level model. When in the saddle, we were impressed with the level of comfort since there is little design emphasis other than the 27.2 millimeter seat post. Still, our biggest issues with the bike don't come from the Bianchi factory, but instead their choice of components. This bike is fast, and we repeatedly would run out of gears anytime we pointed it downhill after an epic climb. The max gear of 4610 was just too easy for a bike of this style and caliber. As we said earlier, a 4810 would have been perfect. Pairing that with a 1033 cassette could have also delivered easier climbing options. The bottom bracket drop is not as much as we would normally get on a race bike at only 68 millimeters, but that likely aided in the ability to pedal through the tight turns. The only time we truly noticed it was when we were static at a light, trying to remain on the saddle with our toe on the ground. It was a reach. Overall, the Specialissima is a thing of beauty. The number of compliments, questions, and just general interest in the Celeste-lathered bike was impressive, and truly a conversation starter. We wish the Bianchi team would have chosen a more appropriate gear selection for this bike, along with the components. Also a disappointment is the selection of entry-level carbon wheels. Sure, they hit all the marks for a modern wheel set, tubeless, wide, and able to accommodate tube or tubeless tires, but this is a top spec model. It also leads us to wonder how it all adds up to $12,250, since most other brands at that price point have chosen wheel sets that retail near $3,000 and also have a power meter. Any way you look at it, you're getting a sweet ride, and maybe down the line, Bianchi will update their component spec. There are for sure consumers that will be happy to see a 4633 crank and will just opt for a 1033 cassette for the ultimate in steep climbing gear options on the road. For us, the color and attention the bike attracted was validation enough to move it up on our short list of dream bikes. Let us know which bike you'd like to see us review next, and head to roadbikeaction.com for more info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.